But no, I was very confused because you said I've seen all three of them, and there's people like the purists who are like the Michael Keaton ones are the only good ones, so
Yeah.
two, or there's people who recognize all four of them. So I was confused when you said you'd seen three of them
Oh,
because you just
I
didn't
don't
know
fall
about.
into either category. I fall
Yeah.
into a regular human who's not worried about Batman movies from 30 years
Batman
ago.
movies are a spectrum.
Batman is as the character for whatever reason is the only superhero who gets a movie every 5 years at minimum, right? Like,
Yeah.
like he's all. So it makes sense that everyone's got their favorite Batman or whatever, but I just like when that Flash movie came out and everyone's like, "That's the real Batman." I'm like, "Real to who? Like to you?"
We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 major like theatrical releases with other Batmen since him.
And like there'll be another.
Yeah.
And there'll be another, and it just eventually you'll die.
Like,
But
I love Robert Pattinson's Batman.
I liked that movie a lot. I saw that. I didn't see a single trailer for that movie, and I hadn't seen any of the Planet of the Apes, so I didn't really know about Matt Reeves as a director. But my brother was home from college on some break whenever it came out, and we were like, let's go see a movie together. So we went and saw that one just unprompted, and neither of us cared about superhero movies. Post Endgame, we've grown up. We're okay. Yeah. It was awesome. That movie rules. That's my favorite Batman movie.
I think.
But if they cast a different guy, I'm not going to be like, Robert Pattinson's real to me. Put him in the next Flash.
I think. In all honesty, that movie's maybe 20 minutes too long.
Really?
Yeah, because like he captures Riddler. And it's still going because he's just like, I have men with bombs and guns.
Yeah, that's the cool part.
Yeah, but like, I not that I tuned out, but I was like, oh, we're still going.
The movie has one weird thing to me. One aggressively weird thing to me.
The Riddler costume?
Nah, that's fine.
Where they put him in a tarp.
That's cool.
Green tarp is cool. He looks like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable.
I haven't seen that.
He also wears a green tarp.
Yeah. No, he looks cool because it's like rainy and shitty in that world, so he needs protection. It makes sense to me. Also, incels looking weird looks normal to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, at one point in
The Batman,
Robert Pattinson, he kisses Catwoman, or they're standing together at a, not kisses, they're standing together at a skyscraper that's under construction.
Yep.
And the sun's like setting and it's orange, and she like leans into him and then she walks away, and the camera holds, and then it goes, I'm Thomas Wayne and I approve this message.
And then it cuts to a flashback, right?
No. Then it holds for 1 second more, and then it cuts to him in the Batcave watching his old dad's old videos.
Oh,
but the edit is a second too late, so like it's not a J cut. It's from the next scene. It's not that audio, or it is that audio, but it doesn't work because it holds on the previous scene for a second longer. So it looks like just for a second they lean in, and then the ghost of his father's like, "Get it, son." No, I didn't think it was literally his dad talking, but it's the implication is his dad is approving of what he's doing based on the way the audio edits with the cut.
Maybe he's approving of his son being Batman, not banging the cat burglar.
It's still a weird place, because even if that's true, he's been Batman the whole movie. The change now is he's with Catwoman. So you're looking for new information, and it's the weirdest fucking cut. It drives me nuts. I've seen that movie twice.
I've only seen that movie once.
I saw it once at theaters and once at home.
I really like the Batman. My favorite Batman performance will always be Kevin Conroy, though.
Who?
The animated Batman from 1994 until like 2022, 23 when he passed away. So the newest of like the animated DC movies that they do, because every year they do PG-13 to rated R. Some of them are rated R. But the newest one that they've done is a 3-part Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh boy.
Yeah. The only reason I'm looking forward to that is because it brought back Mark Hamill's Joker and Kevin Conroy's Batman from the original 90s cartoon in the big multiverse thing, and it's his final performance as Batman. And his final recorded line, or at least the final line of Batman in those movies, was like he was beating up Joker on a roof as the continuities were resetting because it's Crisis on Infinite Earths. And Joker's like, "Oh, Batsy, at the end of the world, and you still want to spend it with me." That kind of shit. Like, the ship's going down, and you have no loved ones, and Kevin Conroy's final line is, like, "No matter the circumstances, I will always find time to be Batman and stop." Like, he had a very powerful send-off.
Oh, okay.
As like continuities reset, and it's one of those, like, because people were concerned that the Suicide Squad game was his last performance as Batman, where he just gets shot in the back of the head by Captain Boomerang or something.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that's dumb, and I hate that, because it was the same Batman from Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, the games that people love, and everybody was so pissed about it. But no, that was a much better send off, and I'm gonna miss him.
Well, this is probably our strongest segue yet. Speaking of multiverse schlock.
Oh, God, I forgot what we were recording.
We watched a couple movies, one of which in theaters, another of which to give justification to talk about our horrible theater experience.
What do you mean horrible?
Welcome to KAFM. I'm John.
I'm Duncan.
This is Kill All Film Majors, and this week's episode is a double feature, which we regularly do, where we connect two movies with any tenuous connection. And we picked a movie we saw in theaters, and then we just quickly found something to connect it to so we could talk about this fucking movie. And those are Deadpool and Wolverine and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
It's gonna look so good.
All written out, it's funny.
Yeah.
Saying it, it's like, oh my god, it's a mouthful.
Well, that's the next sequel that's coming out.
Oh, that's the next multiverse.
Deadpool and Wolverine and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
He's gonna go dig up Paul Newman's grave.
No, they're gonna CGI him like Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One.
Okay. Robert Redford takes a big fat old check to come back.
Robert Redford was already in the MCU.
Was he? Oh, yeah.
He was in the one good Captain America sequel. Winter Soldier.
Those are fighting words for somebody else. No, we saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Is it just Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Since Deadpool and Wolverine is the big one that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Do we want to switch it up and talk about Butch first? Okay.
I can't do that.
So we're just gonna, okay.
Because I'm angry now.
Okay. You don't want to be angry thinking about Robert Redford's mustache?
No, that's the carrot at the end of the stick or something. That's getting me to the end of this fucking episode.
Okay.
Deadpool and Wolverine released 2023. Oh my god, I'm already wrong. Released this year.
2024. We are in August.
Don't reveal it.
I don't care.
We know it just came out, and we saw it like a couple days ago. So we really did see it like right after it dropped.
Yeah.
Almost. We didn't see it opening night, but close
opening
to
night
it.
would have been Friday, and we saw it
like 2 days later or some shit.
Yeah.
And it was terrible, by my opinion.
I gave it like a 6 out of 10, I think.
That's crazy. And the opinion of most people we went with thought it was terrible.
My partner and I had fun. I thought it was very funny. I read my partner your review where it's like everybody I went with brought their girlfriend and they had a terrible time. And she was like, no, I fucking loved it.
I was just like, it's more like, I don't know how that ended up being a movie that everyone brought their girlfriend to. Because that's not what he normally would. No one's like, hey, grab all your girlfriends. We're going to go see Deadpool Wolverine.
No, that's what Challenger should have been.
Yeah. And instead, we all saw Challengers alone.
No, I saw it with my partner, who had a much better time than me. I was mad the whole time, and she was like, nah, this is sexy.
Okay.
Anyway, no, it was funny because she constantly brings up the fact that since she hasn't gone to film school, she's like, I don't got to think about this stuff critically. I can just point and laugh.
Right. So there was stuff in that movie for her to point and laugh at?
Apparently.
Could have fooled me.
No, you laughed at a couple things.
I laughed at a couple things. But it's a comedy movie, and if you get me 4 times in about approximately 9-hour runtime...
It was just over 2 hours.
Yeah, and it felt a lot longer. Am I wrong, or did it feel like...
No.
It didn't feel long to you?
No.
That's crazy. 30 minutes into the movie, I was like, when does the act 1 start?
Here's the thing. I agree that film literacy is dead.
Yeah.
I agree with the sentiment that I think I even said in my review that there is so much required to understand even half of this movie. This is not a movie.
No.
This is DLC for a franchise.
That's a great way of putting it.
This is okay, you've played through the main campaign. Here's a bonus chapter featuring your favorite side character, Deadpool.
Okay. You know what? When it's phrased like that, I really do hate it more. Now, real quick, I don't have time to remember what is and isn't considered a spoiler, so we'll just blanket spoiler warning.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If the sacredness of a Marvel movie is still true in your heart, I'm going to talk about everything that happens in this movie, probably out of order.
And I'm gonna start stimming when we talk about the cameos and stuff, because that had me rocking back and forth in my seat.
Well, that's what these movies are about.
These are for me. At this point, I don't care if people can understand what's happening in the movie. I get to point at Chris Evans as the Human Torch.
I think that one's kind of accessible. People remember that movie at least, or like can remember it.
It's so hard to gauge nowadays because the MCU has gone on long enough, because it started when we were kids. And we are now adults, and there are people who were like teenagers when it started, who are now adults with children taking their kids to these movies. First of all, this is an R-rated movie. It's in the MCU, but be wary about taking your kids if they're not cool enough to handle an R-rated movie.
It's R-rated it's an R-rated movie in the way that like a kid imagines an R-rated movie. When you tell a kid they can't watch an R-rated movie, they're like, I bet they say fuck a bunch and have blood everywhere. And that's exactly how R it is.
This might not be the first MCU movie to get the F-bomb, but it is the first one to say cunt and also have a slur in it.
Yeah. So I liked it a little bit. No, it opens with, I mean, Deadpool's a meta character.
Yeah.
I liked Deadpool as a kid. I remember being into his like 2008 comics.
Yeah, I think the first movie came out when it would have been like tail end of our high school-ish years.
2016.
2016, yeah.
So like right there. So right in the age range to maybe start getting a little too old for Deadpool. But I loved it. I had a great time at Deadpool. I remember.
My dad got into Deadpool comics after watching the first one.
Well, there's something for everybody. But no, I just he's a crass educator. Tons of adults like Deadpool, that movie and comics, and that's fine. But I got into him young enough where he sort of ran his course with me, and then the more popular he got, the less I cared about him.
Well, do you think it was one of those, like, not to be like staunchly contrarian, but since he was everywhere and he had already run his course with you, it was immediately grating?
Yes, because
it felt like everybody discovered him magically with the movie.
Exactly. And so it's sort of the magic's gone. He's not this niche little dude anymore. And there is that little bit of like, you want to feel like the cool guy because you know this little character and you're like 16 and you're like...
That's how I was with Moon Knight until Oscar Isaac showed up.
And I never saw that show. And I was with that Moon Knight too. I liked a lot of his older comics, but I haven't read comics in years. And maybe I'll go back and read them. I'm not opposed to them. I just haven't. But as he became more popular, he became more of a, what's the term? Flanderization?
So Flanderization, if that's the term you're thinking of, is when one dimension of a character becomes all they are.
Yes, that is the term I'm thinking of.
Okay, they get boiled down to just, so like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons went from the best neighbor ever that everybody was jealous of to just a Bible-thumping Christian.
Yeah, okay. So in this case, that happened to Deadpool in the sense that he became the comic relief joke. All the like grit is sort of sandblasted off of his comics, and so they weren't appealing to me anymore. And so by the time Deadpool 2 came out, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I don't think it's a great sequel. It's kind of just more of the same. Like there's nothing in Deadpool 2 that's ridiculously new or memorable.
I really liked how they did Cable in that movie, if I'm being honest. I wish Fox had given them more leeway to use X-Men characters, because now I feel like we're even further away from getting Cable and Cyclops and Jean Grey in a major movie together. But
two things. One, why was Cable so short? Two, I don't remember anything he did in the movie. I don't remember Deadpool 2.
I don't care about him being short because in the comics he's like 8 feet tall, and I'm like,
that's awesome.
That doesn't exist. That's not real.
Yeah, but if that's gonna be real, that Deadpool is the first movie that's got like a Colossus that just walks around at 8 feet tall. The Juggernaut in Deadpool 2 just looks like the comic book Juggernaut. Some characters in Deadpool Wolverine just look like comic book characters. Yeah, if there's a movie where he's gonna look 6'5" with just built like a brick shithouse, it was Deadpool 2, and instead it's Josh Brolin.
Being, I think, like an inch shorter than Ryan Reynolds in real life.
He's like 5'9". He's a tiny dude.
Josh Brolin is?
Yeah, he's smaller than you'd think, just with how much like gravitas he has.
Yeah, because I've only ever seen him in movies where he's 12 foot tall and purple.
But make him white and give him a robot arm.
Don't give him his hair back. Oh, a fleshy Thanos.
Oh my god, he just looked like a nutsack. Oh my god, it's Nutsack Bill from the future.
I'm here to kill people. And he snaps his fingers, and instead of the like half the population is gone, one dude explodes.
Everyone loses a ball.
Take away half the population of balls, and he snaps his fingers.
That's the stupid joke.
Okoye is running over to Black Panther. My king, why are you doubled over in pain? Captain America down on one knee, trying to grit through it.
Exactly. Just like a little dust out your pant leg.
Hulk just gets even angrier.
I don't even... Oh, that's stupid.
Incredibly.
So anyway, all that was just to say I was in on Deadpool, and then I sort of moved away from him, but I've got an affection for him like you do with anything you liked as a kid or you liked for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't opposed to seeing this movie. I just wasn't that interested, and I figured I'd see it eventually. And it lined up that we saw it pretty quickly after it came out. And it didn't land. It just, nothing landed for me. And I don't know if it's because, like you said, it's DLC for the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I haven't been watching.
A great review I saw for this movie on Letterboxd was, this isn't Deadpool's introduction to the DC or the MCU. It is Deadpool bidding a farewell to every Marvel movie that isn't MCU.
Yeah.
So Deadpool being the most, lucrative non-MCU Marvel movie, being led into, and it, again, blanket spoiler thing, he isn't even really led into the MCU by the end of the movie. He goes back home. Like, he's shown the MCU, and instead he's like, I'd rather stay home.
I think the implication is they'll just put him in when they need him, basically.
Yeah, and he's such a flexible character, sure. Like, he'll like you said, he'll show up when they need him to, but this movie's required, it used to be, did you see before watching Avengers, make sure you watch Captain America and Thor. Before you see Avengers 2, make sure you see Iron Man 3, and
you don't even have to.
Yeah, like,
you can walk into Avengers 2 blind.
Yeah, so long as you know the basic idea Thor is Norse mythology.
They explain it in the movies. If you remember, Avengers opens with a quick breakdown.
Avengers 1, yes.
And Avengers 2 is like, figure it out.
Avengers 2, at the very least, has the caveat of it's a sequel to Avengers 1.
Yeah.
See Avengers 1 and then Avengers 2.
Which is a fair caveat. We can give that to movies. If you're watching number 2, we're assuming you saw number 1.
Then why did we watch Thor the Dark World when we haven't done Thor yet?
Well, we've seen them before.
Oh, God, this is the second MCU movie we've done.
No!
Oh, I'm having so much fun with these.
Are you?
I like comic book movies.
I liked them.
Maybe that's why I had more fun with this, is I gave it a 6 out of 10 on the scale of MCU movies, so it is slightly above average for what MCU has been putting out, in my opinion. Which...
I mean, I've heard your reports on recent MCU, and if they've lost you, they've lost.
I was their top soldier. I was on the front lines.
You were the Joseph Goebbels of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Free PR, free marketing. I love propaganda. Mm-hmm. Propaganda at these nuts.
What?
Like a propagander. Like, look at my nuts. Propaganda at these nuts.
Is that the catchphrase for ballsack Thanos or whatever?
He just says that, like, as he disappears, he snaps his fingers. Ballsack Bill Thanos, what have you done? Ballsack. You said Ballsack Bill.
Why? Why though? That's not a pun. It's not anything.
I don't know. You said it. Oh man,
that's great. That's more funny to me than Deadpool Wolverine.
So the movie,
white Thanos.
So the movie opens with the end of Logan, which was Hugh Jackman's departure from the character. And he's mentioned in interviews that he announced his retirement from the characters, I think 3 or 4 days before the release of Deadpool 2.
Oh, yeah?
And he saw the relationship between Deadpool and Cable in that movie, and he's on record being like, fuck, I shouldn't have retired, because now I get why people wanted Deadpool and Wolverine properly in a movie together.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of, straight man, funny man relationship that they would have. So,
and I bet he was like, wait a minute, I fucking love money.
I love Disney money.
What if they back up a truck of money to my house 3 years from now?
I mean, that'll do it. I think... Did they say that in a movie, or was that also just another interview I saw with Ryan Reynolds where it was just like, Disney money will bring you back from the dead or something?
I don't know. That sounds like something he would say both in an interview and in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to tell where the character ends and Ryan Reynolds begins, which is the point. He's
become that.
Yeah,
that's his thing. And
in my opinion, he's like one of the only like comedian actors that can kind of get away with that. Because so many of those were like, oh, I'm the funny guy. Like, that was a very 2000s thing.
Yeah.
Of being a comedian in a movie. Like, you are consistently the comic relief character. And he can still get away with it. Paul Rudd to a lesser extent, but You know
what I hate about this movie?
What do you hate about this movie?
It does the thing, just comic relief made me think of it, where it makes jokes, but then does the thing anyway. So, like, at one point he goes, multiverses are so tired, guys, but they're still doing a multiverse story.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, doing a thing that you're like, this sucks, but then you do it is still doing it. It's not a joke. It's not self-referential, or it is self-referential by definition, but it's not like, it doesn't, just because you point out that this thing sucks doesn't avoid the pitfalls of the thing.
Exactly. And I've had that issue with a few movies that are like trying to, quote, be commentaries on, but falling into the same trapping. So at that point, the difference is moot.
Yeah.
If it's a commentary on... What I think this does well is that being a commentary on multiverse movies doesn't include the MCU multiverse characters. It's picking and choosing other Marvel characters as, in my opinion, kind of a middle bird to MCU fans, which is why I liked this movie so much, because I haven't seen MCU stuff in the last couple of years. I think I didn't see Marvels. I didn't see Secret Invasion.
You weren't up to date? I thought you were up to date still.
No, I have not been up to date. I have not been up to date for like 2 years. But
I thought you were just hate watching or something.
No, so what makes this movie fun for me is that being up to date doesn't fucking matter for this movie. So if you took time to, like...
Doesn't matter, sort of. There's some shit in here I'm supposed to be up to date for that I wasn't.
Like what?
All the time travel 60s shit.
Oh.
That I'm supposed to know what the fuck this is.
I guess.
And at one point, Deadpool in the movie goes, from Loki episode blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, now you're up to date.
I don't know what he was talking about. I just remember hearing him go, from Loki episode 5. And I was like, what?
That was the big smoke monster. But all you have to know is that it's a smoke monster.
What the fuck was that?
It was a smoke monster.
What does it do?
Eats.
Why?
Because it's hungry.
That's not acceptable.
That's all it does.
He shows up like 4 times and they never once explain what the fuck that was.
That's because that's literally all it is. There is no greater like, this was
then it's just dumb.
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
It doesn't
When they were driving
matter.
in that world, at one point they're driving and a little purple guy runs by the screen. And he's like, and he's gone.
A little purple? What the fuck are you talking about?
There's a little purple guy. He just goes by the screen, by the base of the screen. They're driving in a car. There's a grassy hill, even though there's a wasteland, and a little purple guy goes over the hill.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And I was like, I turned to the guy next to me. I was like, did you just see that purple guy? He's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I do know what
that's real.
I do know what you're talking about. Again, that doesn't fucking matter. That's probably so many things in this movie were like just callbacks to things in comics. Because the main... where the movie takes place is an area called the Void, where it's just, hey, all the shit Marvel's deleted ends up here.
Right, which is meta in its own sense.
Yeah, and I like that idea, but so much of it, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I can see where that was in a Marvel movie, or okay, I recognize this thing.
So what movie was that little purple dude in?
He wasn't. That was the other half of what I was gonna say. Is sometimes it's just bullshit references to other Marvel shit. This movie doesn't care about the MCU continuity. They'll just do fucking whatever. This had Darth Maul back as Toad from X-Men 2000.
But so it's just these cameos and references.
Yeah, and that's not a movie.
And that's not a movie. It's just a sequence of scenes.
And it's awesome.
No.
I'm loving this movie the more we're talking about it.
The action isn't even good.
No, I will say a lot of I was excited for there's like the big final fight outside of the villains. Like there's inside the villain's dome, like in her building.
Yeah.
And then there's like just outside in that courtyard. When everybody got there for the courtyard fight,
it was fine.
It was fucking bad. It literally, it had a moment where guy pulls out, I'll just fucking say it, Blade, our favorite dude ever.
It's true.
Blade pulls out his fucking that throwing star thing he's got that's like two serrated knives. I used the shot of him for our Blade episode where he's holding it up.
Yeah, with the big ass smile.
Yeah, I used that. He pulled that out and started throwing it around. I actually pointed at the fucking screen like Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm like, I'm pointing for listeners. I'm pointing.
Yeah. It's
this movie's nothing, and I love so much of it.
There's a scene, we'll just talk about it, where he's in that alternate. So the reason we're not talking about a story is because there isn't one. The world is going to end, so Deadpool gets a Wolverine, and then now they've got to stop a wizard.
Okay, so it's revealed that Logan, the very successful Western, styled comic book movie where Logan Wolverine dies, is in the same continuity as the Deadpool movies, and the time police basically are like, every universe has an anchor character. If this person dies, the universe starts to die, and Deadpool's convinced he's the anchor character of his universe, but really it was Logan who got old, sick, and died. And so now he's trying to find a new Wolverine to give his like heart transplant surgery for his universe, basically. And he ends up with, quote, the worst one.
Yeah, and so then they got to stop a wizard who's Charles Xavier's sister.
Yes.
From the comics, but it doesn't matter. She's never been... Maybe she was in a script that got canceled. That's probably what she was in, because that's the way this movie works.
Yeah, Cassandra Nova might have been mentioned, or maybe in, like, I don't know, the X-Men Last Stand, the worst one nobody remembers.
So they go on a multiverse journey where they get stuck in a horrible world, and they meet all the canceled characters from Marvel.
And some characters that never even got a chance.
So it's Jennifer Garner as Elektra from that 2005 Elektra movie.
And also, I can't reach it. Daredevil. I have the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie right there that she's in.
That movie fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's got Jon Favreau as Foggy Nelson, who's also in this movie as Happy Hogan.
It also has this scene where Daredevil kisses a woman and then hears that a man is being mugged and then chooses to sleep with the woman instead of save the man, thus defeating the purpose of a superhero, which is self-sacrifice. The whole point is you leave the girl to help the dude. Spider-Man became the most popular superhero on the planet based on, oh, geez, I missed the prom date because I helped someone. Thankfully, I have the moral conviction needed to help people above myself. Anyway,
Superman hears people dying every day all over the planet and does nothing.
I don't believe that. I don't, like, anytime you have to, that's not true. Anytime you get that literal with the powers, the comics die. That's like back when they said Superman could vibrate his face so no one could tell he was Clark Kent.
No, he just wears glasses.
He wears glasses. He's not hearing people die all over the world. He saves everyone. It's a comic book for babies and children. It's not that dark or that deep. He's just a good dude. So anyway, she shows up and I said, I don't know who that is. And then
I knew who it was.
And then who shows up next?
Wesley Snipes
as Blade. And I went apeshit in the theater.
I went apeshit. I tried you didn't see me, but I like leaned forward to look at you.
I was stunned.
I was so fucking happy.
Because not even like, oh my God, my character. I have never in my life walked into a movie theater and sat down in the movie and thought, I bet Blade is going to show up in this movie.
And then he did.
Which is hilarious.
This is exactly how you try to make a movie better, is just like, we talked about like, put the Predator anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You could take any Marvel movie and if, 2/3 of the way through Blade shows up, I'm locked in.
That's true. But then he's got to have a good fight scene after that.
He has a rocket launcher and he says, I'm the only Blade that will ever be, and then fires a rocket launcher.
That's true. That's sick. I'm saying you got a little bit. I didn't give the movie a 0 out of 10. It had little bits here and there.
Yeah.
But anyway, Channing Tatum as Gambit shows up in like a comic accurate Gambit costume.
Did you get this one?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is my issue with the movie. So if anyone doesn't get it, Elektra, 2005-ish movie, went nowhere. Blade, obviously, was good and then bad and then is done. Channing Tatum spent like 10 years trying to get a Gambit movie made with Fox and was going to be Gambit and kind of the creative drive behind it. And it never got off the ground and then eventually just got canceled and moved on.
And Fox got sold.
Yeah. That reference is to that. Channing Tatum as a game.
It requires so much inside baseball.
It is not a reference to a movie you've seen. It's not a reference to a goodbye to the X-Men movies we all grew up on that all got bad reviews.
I don't think Gambit was ever in one of the original X-Men movies.
It's not a it's not a reference to anything except like BuzzFeed articles and fucking film news articles about canceled projects. It's a reference to news about superhero movies.
Yes.
That is so removed from anything real. Like, we're not even referencing other movies at this point. Like, you're not even here for the movie. You're not here for the content. You're here so that you can make sure you're part of Reddit conversations later and you're up to date. So you don't have to worry about clicking on those spoiler tags. And like you slop chud people who just consume news. You're worried about Robert Downey Jr.'s salary compared to others. You're worried about who's going to appear at the Comic-Con panel, but you don't even care about the movie. You're just checking things off the list. And you already know everything that's going to happen because you watched all the trailers and you've got all the behind the scenes photos. Like, you're not real. You're not a real person. You're just consuming news and regurgitating it to each other and then shaking hands about how you all recognize the thing on screen.
This is not a movie. This is truly one of the most removed. It feels so. This movie's stuck in limbo.
Yes.
It is stuck in this horrific purgatory where it's inaccessible to most, and the people that do get everything that is referenced in these movies, like you said, are slop people.
And I didn't say any of that targeted at you specifically. I just want you to know that. No, I'm serious. Because I think there is a world where you can watch garbage, enjoy it, and still move on with your life. Or like still being a functioning person.
I'm pointing at myself.
But it's just like, it's for the people where this is the peak that I can't believe this is a movie that they watch and they go, that's the best movie I've seen all year.
Oh God, no! There are so many better movies. Oh my God.
And I think it's just like we were talking about The Flash a little bit earlier. Between The Flash and this, like that's a fucking double feature of just like it's just a commercial
for other movies that have been out for decades.
Yes, it's a retro commercial designed to tug at the heartstrings you think exist. You're an android.
I like this movie. The emotional crux for Deadpool is that he spent his love interest throughout these movies is a woman named Vanessa, and between Deadpool 2 and this one they broke up because he tried joining the Avengers. They told him no.
I didn't get that scene either because it says 616 Earth 616.
Yes, that's the MCU continuity.
Yeah. But then later he's on his planet, or his Earth is like 10,000 whatever.
Yeah.
So did he time jump there to get a job?
Yes. So with the time sliding watch from Cable,
yeah,
he was basically able to back himself down the time highway and take a different exit.
But like, so would he go to work through time? Was that his plan?
Yeah.
Do they know he has powers in the Deadpool universe or in the 616?
No, they don't even know. That's why like in that scene, Happy Hogan like doesn't know who he is. Like nobody. Like
then how did he even get the interview?
He walked in there.
Okay.
He just walked in there.
I was confused.
It was an entry level interview, probably for anybody to be on the Avengers team in the sense of like, okay, you're gonna help maintain the grounds or something.
Okay.
Like the way that they say, oh, we love the culture of our workplace. You know, everybody's a member of the family. Everybody's a member of the Avengers when you work for Stark Industries or something.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck, my train of thought.
Vanessa, his girlfriend.
Yes, they break up, which utterly defeats the point of the first two movies. Because like the point of the movies is that like the point of the love, the romantic arc of the first two movies is about, you know, I don't care about what you do for a living. I don't care about what you look like. Like, I love your soul as a person. Like, you are a person that I am completely compatible with. And when he didn't make it onto the Avengers, he was like, you know, maybe I'm not cut out to be Deadpool. If I can't hack it in the big leagues, why should I keep playing the sport? And Vanessa was basically like, burn, sorry, buddy. I only fuck superheroes. No, it was more emotional than that. It was more like
they told you it was more emotional than that. In reality, it was like 3 lines.
Yeah, well, the lines were along the lines of, show me you're bigger than yourself. The fact that you didn't make it onto the Avengers. You hung up the suit, which is a very selfish thing to do. People still need low-level superheroes, which was like the point of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's whole thing when he was offered the Avengers was like, I'm the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm going to stay street level for a while.
It's weird that he's a superhero.
Deadpool or Spider-Man?
Deadpool.
Yeah.
He wasn't for 20 years.
No, he was a mercenary. He was
piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's what they've sandblasted away.
Yeah, any nuance to the character.
He's in a suit. He's a hero.
Yeah. God forbid they figure out who he's based on from DC. But he ends up working, like, he sells like secondhand cars or something. And so the emotional through line is that it's not about getting the girl, it's about, you know, doing what's right for her. So it's like, even if we can't be together, I got to save my universe because I love her, I love the people around me. And he does that. And they tell him throughout the movie, you can't just replace the Wolverine in your world. And then he does that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Wolverine leaves and his world is fine. Like at the end of the movie, his Wolverine leaves.
Well, he doesn't leave his world, though. He's just going to live in that world.
Oh, just elsewhere? Okay.
Because he's like, I'll see you around. And he's like, probably not.
Yeah, because Jackman's retiring.
That's what I'm saying. That was the implication. So, yeah, and everyone expects Wolverine to die in this movie, and they set it up, and then neither of them do because the movie doesn't matter.
God, I was so pissed about that. Because it was like both of them were talking about making the heroic sacrifice, and it does a direct parallel to Star Trek Wrath of Khan, where like they're in the chamber, and it's like, you idiot, you know, banging on the glass door and shit. And then they both end up doing the sacrifice, but then with regenerative powers, it's like, we don't actually die, even though one dude is like, no, this is on a molecular level. Even with your healing factor, it will kill you.
The stakes are so high, it won't work. And then it does, because this movie is for children.
But it's rated R, so it's for 40-year-old children.
That's what I'm saying. And I feel like if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Just know that I don't like you as a person.
I can look at this movie without a critical lens and just say, I remember that movie. I'm glad to see Wesley Snipes back as Blade, and it was funny when he said that there's only going to be one Blade.
You know what wasn't funny and is a great indication though of this movie? When they get ready to do their big fight at the end with Blade, and he goes, some motherfuckers are still trying to ice skate uphill. And I'm like, the reason that line is dope is because of his delivery in the first movie and how awesome it is. And you could write him a new line that Wesley Snipes can deliver, because he can say a line like nobody's fucking business.
Great actor.
And just make a new line and it'll be just as fun. But this movie is like ChatGPT. It's incapable of creating a new idea. It can only pull from other sources and reassemble. And so the only thing it can do is pull the line everyone knows from Blade, slot it in, and then they edit it slightly.
Correct.
This is an AI movie.
I mean, it
had 5 writers. One of them's a robot.
It is very indicative that like that is an issue with the movie, because up until that point, you know, even with the Channing Tatum stuff, for 75% of the movie, you could look at it and say, okay, I knew that at one point Wesley Snipes was Blade.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't seen the movies, you know, oh, it's Blade. But that particular line, with no context anywhere in the movie, makes no fucking sense.
And it's just lame.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lame line. It's not good. If you write him a new line, he'll say it. Or just say, Wesley Snipes, say something dope, and he'll go off.
Tax evasion's cool, and then he pulls out a sword.
That would be funnier. That would be closer to a joke.
There is a funnier meta joke about Wesley Snipes in Expendables 3.
Embarrassing.
The beginning of Expendables 3 is them breaking Wesley Snipes out of prison, and it is like the highest max security shit you've ever seen. It takes, you know, a full team of 8-10 guys to break this guy out, and they're driving away in the back of this big van, and dude is like, that was fucking insane. What the hell did you do to end up in there? What crime did you commit? Wesley Snipes looks at him and says, tax evasion. And it was like one of the first things he did out of prison from...
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And that is a funnier meta joke about Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. Did you go nuts when Wolverine put on the helmet?
Yeah, I thought that. I liked that.
No, really?
Again, I like the comic book accurate.
It looks cool.
Costume. Yeah, I liked it.
He just looks a little bit like a complete CGI, man.
I mean, I think, besides getting these 40-year-old neckbeards to cream in they jorts, I think the other reason they put the mask on him was for the shirtless scene. They could get away with a couple shots where it didn't have to be Hugh Jackman. It could just be a very ripped stunt double.
Everyone wanted it. We all know they want Wolverine in the yellow, so they did that.
And then they took his sleeves off, and he had guns.
I'm pretty sure those were CGI arms.
No!
Yeah, because Hugh Jackman has had skin cancer, so he was always sleeved up. So I'm pretty sure they just CGI'd arms. But anyway,
I liked when he got down on all fours like a feral little man.
Yeah, and he ran, and then the CGI got bad again. And you're like, wait a minute. And then the final fight against all the Deadpools, multiverse Deadpools, and they're like, you know what's the most exciting camera work in a fight scene? A really, really slow dolly.
A dollied oneer of them going down the street swinging swords.
Real slow.
You know who played Lady Deadpool?
His wife?
Yeah, Blake Lively.
You know who played Cowboy Deadpool?
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. That's a good use. There you go.
Hey, Matthew McConaughey, do you want to be in the biggest franchise ever?
I mean, they've done it before. Deadpool 2 has Brad Pitt for 2 seconds.
Yeah, and he gets electrocuted.
I heard a story about how he got paid for that.
Yeah?
He didn't get paid. They gave him a cup of coffee, and he's like, "This is hilarious. Let's do it." So again, though, that's an article being funnier than the movie.
Yes. Like the joke of The Vanisher? Was that
I
character?
don't know. I think they just call him the Invisible Man, right?
I don't remember. But the joke of that character, the punchline of that character is, here's a famous face on the invisible guy. Moving on.
So, do you have anything left to say about Deadpool Wolverine? Now that I've attacked anyone who dares to enjoy a movie in a theater.
Deadpool and Wolverine is not cinema. It's barely a film. But what it is a great reel of comic book movie history.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great reel, and I think I mentioned it before that there was a review that said this is a send-off to non-MCU Marvel movies. The required reading for this one is ridiculous. It's not even worth it. I just happen to have seen all of these movies that it's referencing.
Why did those movies need a send-off? No one liked them.
Fuck are you talking about? You saying nobody liked Blade?
No, not Blade specific, but like most of those movies no one liked.
I liked the X-Men movies.
All of them? You just said Last Stand sucked.
Last Stand sucks.
Apocalypse sucked.
Apocalypse.
People like Days of Future Past and X2.
I liked X-Men, X2, Days of Future Past. There's only like 2 issues I have with First Class. One of them is killing Darwin. The dude whose only superpower is I can adapt to anything and I will never die. They kill him to show how powerful Kevin Bacon is.
That's really stupid.
That pissed me off. But for the most part, I liked First Class.
The Fantastic Four movies, no one liked those.
What are you talking about? That was some of the best casting. Ian Gifford as
They didn't review well.
They didn't?
And they didn't make money.
To be fair, I was like
making them more.
To be fair, I was like 5 of those movies were coming
Elektra
out.
was garbage.
Elektra was garbage. I will cop to that. You've whittled me down to...
No, I'm just saying, so often like a cameo would be like, that movie was bad. Like, so long, these movies that consistently got 6 out of 10s or people were unhappy.
But yeah, so Deadpool and Wolverine is not cinema. It's barely a film, but go in with no media literacy and clap your hands like a seal.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy yourself. I think we're allowed to have fun every now and then, and I had fun.
Yeah, and this is what movies are now.
That's not true.
It kind of is. So to get that taste out of our mouth, we went 70 years in the past.
Oh my God. Wait. No, only 50.
To the Wild West.
20s to 70s.
69.
69?
Yeah.
I thought this was 71.
That's a very little difference, even if it was. But no, it was 69.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
And we watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid because it also has an "and" in the name and 2 names. And that's all I needed.
And I think at times it's a much more nuanced buddy comedy. Like sometimes it's just because 2 great actors. 3. I really like who played Etta?
Oh, good question.
Etta
You asked me a woman's name.
Who played Etta? Like
Yeah.
Christina Ross. No,
Yeah. It's for Diana Ross.
no. Starts with a K.
Kristen Stewart.
No, she was in The Graduate.
Rain Man.
Dustin Hoffman as Etta Place. Getting kissed on by Robert Redford, and she's like, "You got to learn Spanish."
But we went back. You'd seen this movie before, right?
Oh, I was maybe 9 or 10 last time
okay.
I saw this movie.
I saw it pretty recently, within the last year.
Oh, okay.
So this was an awesome rewatch because I liked this movie because I like westerns in general.
General Western.
But I remember, and again this time, I was surprised at how much of this is a buddy comedy more than it is a western in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
At least with the like dialogue. Paul Newman. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, 2 great actors. They could deliver any line to each other, and it could be fun.
Yes, and
like, some things that aren't even funny. The way like how quickly somebody responds. It's like, oh, like he,
Yeah, and it's just a masterclass of making a real movie in a real place with real people and genuine ideas and heart and soul, and you watch it and you experience, and it's like it is the same thing where you can put this movie on for anybody and they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's based on true events, so it's not really an original idea now, is it?
Yeah. It does open with that awesome opening
in the movie theater, or
that movie theater with the little like silent movie westerns, right? which I haven't looked up anything about this movie, but I took as an homage because this movie's sort of about the death of the Wild West, takes place around there.
Mm-hmm. Turn of the century.
Yeah, and it also is, 70 years post the time period it's talking about. But the people that are in that movie would have grown up remembering these and watching these little silent films and like be much closer to the true Wild West.
Yeah.
Like this movie's 70 years removed from the Wild West. When those people were kids, they were 70 years removed from the Wild West, not from the end of the Wild West. And so I took it as this like wonderful little homage, kind of shows you what's going to happen in the movie, sets the tone of like where we are. And then it does that fade in of most of this is true. And I'm like, just fucking go, dude. Yeah.
I love when a movie, because like if you just say based on true events, I'm gonna obviously not believe that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be with a grain of salt.
Like all those Conjuring movies.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
Oh. But like, if you're a little tongue-in-cheek about it, where it's like, most of it.
Yeah.
That's way more endearing to me.
And it sets the tone. It sets the tone well of like a little bit serious, a little bit like, yeah, like you said, tongue-in-cheek. And it has such a strange pacing, though. Both of these movies have strange pacings. Deadpool Wolverine, because it's like, just do whatever, man, and then eventually we'll roll credits. This one, because it doesn't have, like it's about 35 minutes before the movie starts. But in a good way, because it spends a lot of time, like, setting up these two dudes. Mm-hmm. Kind of who they are and what they do.
Keep thinking, Butch. That's what you're good at.
Yeah. Or, like, the opening of the movie is Paul Newman watching this bank close up in this like sepia tone, much like the little movie we just saw at the opening credits. And he says, "What happened to the old bank? It was beautiful." And the guy says, "Too many people robbed it." And his line is, "Small price to pay for beauty." And it's like just awesome. It's like cool, but it's also funny. And then Robert Redford playing cards again in that sepia tone, all that fucking texture and faces and stuff like that. It's just wonderful. And you immediately get who they are. Paul Newman's the like talker, polite, easier going. Robert Redford's got sort of a chip on his shoulder. Sundance is like ready to go. And he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
And the two of them, buddies. Boom.
They're like this.
It's not gay. Surprisingly not gay.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was ready to put another mark in that column. But...
Yeah. No, they just seem like super close friends, which sounds like coping, but no, I'm like in that way of where two people just click.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And you get that they click immediately because it's a well-made movie.
And it's actors who understood the assignment.
And then they ride out of that sepia tone, they ride out of that town, and we slowly fade to color. And it's almost like the sun rising.
Oh, yeah.
Because we take from the lantern left screen on Two Horses, sepia tone. By the time they've hit the right screen at the ridge, you've got the sun rising, we're in full color. Gorgeous. Just like, you stare at the screen and you're just like, yeah, like, this is why you make a movie. This is why you go to the desert with gear and equipment and people and you stay up all night and you film something so you can get this effect.
It's beautiful. Again, like every shot is so intentional.
Uh-huh.
We're either getting new information, we're getting amazing technical work like that between the coloring and the cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
My one issue with the film, is the soundtrack of all things.
Is bizarre.
It's bizarre. And they usually would kick in. There's a couple of montages in this movie. I don't remember if they do a rule of threes, but I can think of a couple montages that kick in. And one of them, straight up, I didn't like, where it was playing Raindrops Are Falling on My Head.
It's weird.
It's weird. And that montage I just did not like. And then the other one later in the movie of them traveling, it plays not calliope music, but the player piano kind of music. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is goofy. This movie's fun, but it's not goofy.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too, because I was watching it and I'd forgot about that Raindrops montage, where basically that's at the 35-minute mark.
Right at?
Like basically. Okay. But it's right after the movie sort of started. or like about to start, because we get so much buildup of Butch and Sundance and who they are and how they operate.
It was Sundance who was in love with the school teacher with Etta? Okay.
Sundance is Robert Redford.
Yeah, okay. The mustache.
Yes. And we see them do their little things together. But then they rob a train and they go their separate ways to lie low. You want to talk about the train robbery?
The explosions in this movie are fucking awesome.
Because they do them for real.
Because it's real. I remember the second explosion in this movie, they blow the side off a train and there's two dudes just standing there.
I know.
And shrapnel, just wooden debris blows past them and then they duck down. I'm like, oh, somebody, like, that was for real.
Yes.
That was for real.
They weren't playing.
That was awesome. That was unintended. They just happened to be filming. Who blew up the train?
And then Paul Newman shows up, and he's riding a bicycle. And he's like doing a goofy little sing-songy thing. And he gets the woman out there. And then they start biking together. She's riding sort of side saddle with him or whatever. And it just plays raindrops are falling on my head for a while.
Does the whole song.
And that showcases two things in this movie. One, it takes its time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Westerns always take their time. The scenery is a character in a Western. And we get these beautiful panning shots. We see the environment. We see even the way Paul Newman, like Butch, analyzes. We will like see him look at something and we'll watch like the latches of a bank, or we'll watch the movement of the money. We'll cut back to his face. We'll see what he's looking at. We spend a lot of time just looking at things. And it's great.
It's new information at the very least. It isn't just looking at things.
And I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm just saying the pace of the movie is this very like it's the pace of their own brain. You know, they take things, even though they rob and they like run and stuff, they also at the same time they joke and they take things easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, all right, let's rob a bank. Let's find out what's going on in there, blah, blah, blah. We'll be back. And so it's a very like calming movie to watch, even though it's it's fun and it's just sort of easygoing. But then the other thing is it's genuine. It's not cynical.
No, just because they're, hardened outlaws that rob banks, they still experience love.
And it's not postmodern.
Oh, I was so, every now and then, just taking in a movie pre-1995.
And so you get these scenes like that raindrops montage that are 100% genuine. And so it's just fucking bizarre to us. Because
I can't interface with this.
I can't, and we've seen that song probably in other places since then.
My mom loves that song. I've heard it just...
And I've probably seen it facetiously or sarcastically or jokingly in other places.
Yeah.
But for it to just play 100% seriously, just in a charming scene montage that goes on the entire length of the song, it is like bouncing off you because it's just from another time. It's just like back when a movie didn't care about keeping your, like you'll watch it. Where here's 4 minutes of raindrops.
You have the attention span of a human being. You can sit through a song.
Yeah, and there's not on-demand music everywhere, so we'll play it. Maybe you haven't heard this song in a while. It's an attraction.
Yeah,
it's in the opening
like
credits. It says blah 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 played by.
Yeah,
and it's just so interesting. It's not like, all right, well, Hell's Bells will kick in for 90 seconds while Wolverine fights with Deadpool. Because get it?
Get it?
And by get it, I just mean, here's my Spotify playlist. Like a Prayer is going to kick in. Why? Popular song. Is there a reason for any of those songs in Deadpool?
Apparently, so I once again I read an interview with Ryan Reynolds and who directed Deadpool Wolverine?
I don't fucking no one. An algorithm.
I read an interview where Ryan Reynolds and the director went to Madonna's house to talk to her about using Like a Virgin because she never licensed that song.
Like a Prayer.
Like a Prayer, is that the one?
Yeah. Like a Virgin is another Madonna song, but they play Like a Prayer.
Okay. But they talk about licensing that song because she never licenses it, period.
Interesting.
And they showed her, the rough cut of, where it would play. And she was like, yes, but I have one note. And once again, they didn't talk about, why. They just said, we have reasons for why it's there. And Madonna had a note, and damn if she wasn't right. Now the movie's so, like, now that scene is so much better. I have no idea what Madonna's note was. I have no idea why it's there. But apparently everybody involved understood, yep, this needs to be here.
Bizarre.
Even Madonna said, yep, this needs to be here.
It didn't. They were all wrong. I think they probably showed up to Madonna's house with a truckload of money, Disney money, and Madonna said, I have one note. We can't tell them I took all this money. Say I did something else. And they said, okay.
That's a great note, Madonna.
Yeah. Dump that in the lawn, the dump truck of dollar bills.
My groundskeeper will rake it up later.
He makes $32,000 a year. But yes, it's just a genuine movie, and we slowly see them basically just receive comeuppance for their life of crime over the course of 2 hours. 150 is the movie.
Yeah, and it does not overstay its welcome, even up until the final moments. I don't want to skip over anything. So once we get to it,
yeah.
Because this is a real movie, we can go scene by scene. We can.
Yeah.
So
we learn about who they are. We see them do a little bit of stuff with their gang. They rob a train. And then they decide, we're going to rob this train on the way back as well. Because no one would ever expect you to rob a train twice in a row. That doesn't make any sense. And so that's why we'll do it. And on doing it, they realize they've kind of not been set up, but they expected that. And so now they're being hunted, Butch and Sundance.
Yeah.
And this is like 40 minutes into the movie, because a lot of it is vibes, which is awesome. Did you have something you wanted to say?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you did.
You're right.
And so then those two are on the run, and they cannot get away from these two dudes chasing them, or this posse chasing them.
We'll go to Bolivia.
And we see them run, and they're having fun interactions as they just run through the wildlands.
We'll jump.
Yeah. And Robert Redford has a bizarre delivery of, whoa, shit. But they
I was surprised with them saying shit in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, from 1969.
I guess so, yeah.
I was surprised with shit.
Which is crazy, because you could have said anything in Deadpool and it didn't register to me at all.
Never mind.
There's one thing they said that registered to me. I will let you repeat it.
No.
Okay. I'll cut it.
No.
I won't. I'll leave it in. I'll put it in twice.
I'll
make it part of our intro.
I was genuinely fucking baffled that they got away with that in a Disney movie.
It's hilarious. I lost my mind just because I didn't know what was happening again. Wesley Snipes says the R slur in Deadpool Wolverine is hilarious.
One note about Deadpool and Blade is I think there's a moment in the movie where Deadpool yells at Blade, "You always hated me," and apparently that was in reference to Ryan Reynolds working with Wesley Snipes on the set of Blade Trinity, where Wesley Snipes was never sober, and he only ever referred to Ryan Reynolds as that cracker.
Another fantastic joke based on reading an article somewhere else online.
Exactly. But he would say things like, make sure that cracker gets his lines right. And never talked to Ryan Reynolds. Never.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That being said, you know what's more beautiful?
This movie.
The scenery.
I fucking love.
They just run through the wildlands, and we just see mountain after mountain and valley and hills, and these two dudes climb up and they bathe in water. And I'm like, yeah. And they're just on the run as this dialogue doesn't stop until it builds to this rocky, ravine gorge with this rushing water that, again, looks so awesome and crisp. I didn't check if this movie was in Technicolor, but it was definitely on film, and I understand why people want to film, despite all the hassle, and I'm not going to film anything on film.
No.
I understand why people would.
Mm-hmm.
Because holy shit, does everything look gorgeous.
Hateful Eight does look really nice.
It's the only good thing I'll say about Hateful Eight. It's a beautiful, beautiful, boring, bad movie.
Look at the beautiful snow.
It's so gorgeous. Is anything going to happen? No? For 2.5 hours, you say?
I love Hateful Eight. Go on.
You love it?
It's one of my favorite Tarantino movies.
I got a huge issue with it. But we'll talk about that another time.
When we get to it.
Yeah. So then they're on the run and they go to Bolivia. They escape through this gorge and the jump. I'm just like speeding through the movie.
Yeah. Is there a problem with that?
No, I'm just thinking about if there's anything I want to say. So then they go to Bolivia and we get our next montage of the travel montage.
Where it's playing fucking piano like player piano music, where you would put a nickel in and the piano would play itself. Like it plays like it doesn't play the entertainer, but equivalent to that. And they take Etta as well. They travel with her.
And Sundance marries Etta. And we get interesting flashes again in sepia of the actual actors doing like a wedding scene and stuff like that.
Them on like a boat going down the Mississippi or something.
And was that a cut scene or was that intentionally in sepia? Like, did they shoot that scene and then say this would be better in freeze frames in sepia?
So if you notice, it is interspliced with real life photos of Butch Cassidy and Sundance.
So you think that was always the plan?
I think that was always intentional, to show a major change in location because they're leaving the country, and a major change in time because I was fascinated by all of this. So I ended up reading some articles and looking into Butch Cassidy and Sundance specifically because they were part of the, not Rough Riders, but
Hole in the Wall Gang?
Was it the Hole in the Wall Gang?
That's what it was in this movie.
It was Butch It was Cassidy's something gang. Like there was another real life gang. I think Tombstone was also roughly based on that posse. But I was like, why specifically are they focusing on Butch Cassidy and Sundance? Besides the fact that they went to Bolivia together, had the shootout. They jump years between like a scene. Like there'll be a moment where it's like at one point later in the movie, Etta says, I'll go ahead of you. I'll go back to the States or whatever, and then you can follow me. Between her leaving and the next scene, 3 years pass.
Wow.
And that it just doesn't feel like it because this movie doesn't care about that reality.
No.
Because it doesn't matter.
Because it's much more about the snapshot of these two's lives.
Yeah, so I liked the visuals of that montage of the real life Butch Cassidy, Sundance, Etta, and then the actors. The music is just fucking wild.
It is wild. What I like about this movie throughout those scenes is you do start to feel the like fleeing the Wild West, right? Because there's no place for them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is right at the tail end of the Wild West movies. Like the kind of the like John Wayne's in like the 50s, right? Like late 39 is Stagecoach all the way through to the 50s. Stagecoach is his first big role.
But 60s you start to get more popular contemporary films. 60,
but also it comes with the awareness of the issues of manifest destiny, because all of the westerns of the John Wayne era are based in the idea of Western expansion as this great American success, regardless of the deaths. And when people become aware of that, even John Ford, who directed things like The Searchers and kind of every famous Western movie, or like, so many of them, the genre sort of dies for a little while. And then it comes back with the Clint Eastwood gritty Westerns in the 60s and 70s, the spaghetti Westerns, and the Westerns where the main character no longer has the pure moral compass, but cowboys are sort of like, he might save someone and he might have a heart of gold or like a good nature at the end of it. But so much of the movie is he's a bastard, or like he's morally gray at best.
I think you even get that a little bit with True Grit, which is
100%.
Yeah, which is one of John Wayne's most famous,
and is remade with Clint Eastwood in the 90s,
and is remade again in like 2011.
And maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Clint Eastwood's in it anyway, and it's all based on a book where the cowboy is not the main character.
Is it the kid?
The kid is,
okay,
because the cowboy is sort of this like amoral, or not amoral, but like morally dubious, vengeful force. This movie, despite being in 69, sort of manages to be a classic Western without touching on any of those dark subjects. Not like whitewashes them. It just is more of a buddy comedy. So it's less about the Western as a backdrop. But it takes the two main characters and it makes them morally gray. But it makes them morally gray in a very distinctly, like a self-aware way. In the sense that they rob banks and they do all those things. But by the end of the movie, Paul Newman, Butch, says, I've never shot anyone before.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Sundance, his worry is he'll get slower and he'll get got. And so despite being this buddy comedy in sort of a classic Western sense of like, we're going to travel the West, because it's at the tail end of the Western, like the tail end of the Wild West, the death of the Wild West, you've got this looming presence of like,
it's over.
We're not going to make it. Whether we make it alive, our way of life isn't going to make it.
Yeah, the system is changing faster than we're growing old.
Yes. And so when they finally go to Bolivia, right before that montage, they talk to this old sheriff that it becomes quickly apparent that he like kind of let them go and knew them. And so like they had sort of an understanding.
Yeah.
And he just has this moment where he just goes on this rant about, he's like, there's nowhere for you guys. There's nowhere in the earth, like there's nowhere in America, there's nowhere this. Keep running, you can try, but you would have had good sense to die a while ago. And so now you're going to have to live with this changed world.
Which was that was a great scene, because you also got the idea from this, I think it was an ex-sheriff, because he was working for the rail company at that point. He's like, I'm employed by Harriman's Rails or whatever.
The people he's robbing me.
Yeah. And he was saying, I'm too damn old to get a new job. If they know I know you.
Yeah.
We're all getting old.
Like everyone you know is old. Everyone you know is settling down. Everyone you know is dead.
And you're still running around like you're, 15 years younger.
Yeah. And it's where that reality starts creeping in of how these characters are going to end up. And so suddenly they're not just funny and like together anymore. They're on the run and they're scared. And maybe they're even a little angry at each other. It's just it's so human and emotional for what is just sort of this goofy, like you said, it's not goofy. Sorry, not goofy. It is human and emotional for what are these fun characters who do crime.
Yeah. And the movie starts with, it's just a couple of fun dudes. We're going to watch them commit crime, to my back hurts. I'm old. We've got to leave our country. Mm-hmm.
And so they go to Bolivia and they hate it there.
Oh yeah, they're at that farmstead, and one of them says, "This is probably the metropolitan center of Bolivia. People travel hundreds of miles to get to this spot."
And there's a great back where Paul Newman or Butch says, "Your money will go further here," and Sundance says, "What would I spend it on?" And so, slowly or quickly, they end up back in their life of crime, where they're robbing banks.
But an Espanol.
And again, another montage happens where, again, the music is weird.
Yeah.
It's going ba 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 ba. Like, it's these like...
Oh, yeah, the fucking choruses.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I do like a lot of their back and forth, because as they're backed into corners and had to flee the country, they do start to get at each other a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot, and Sundance says to Butch, and every line is delivered with sarcasm. It's like, are you always tired of being right?
Yeah.
Sure, coming up with a lot of great plans lately, Butch.
Yeah.
I love shit. Instead of like, your plans haven't worked in months. You're really nailing it, batting 1,000 with this one, Butch.
It's dialogue that trusts the audience to not be drooling fools to follow along with. And it's not like meta sarcasm, like, oh, come on now. It's not some Joss Whedon bullshit. It's just people talking how they talk.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
There was one moment that felt unscripted. They were eating, like, at the beginning of the shootout.
Yeah.
The final shootout. They were eating at that... You know what I'm talking about?
Tell me the line, man.
They were eating outside, and Butch is complaining about something like it's too damn hot out, or, we don't have enough money. And just under his breath, Sundance is like, wham, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. And that didn't feel that felt unscripted because I'm like, would a cowboy say that back then?
I don't know, but it's awesome.
He was just like, wah, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. And I'm like, no wonder Etta left. You are the married couple.
And then, so in Bolivia, they rob banks, and then they realize they're still being hunted. So they try to go straight. And they have to work for this jackass at a mine. And it's all the worst thing. Like,
you're from America and you want a job in Bolivia? So he talked. He was a little prospector.
And he's just an asshole. And it's like every reason you wouldn't want to live that life, every reason you wouldn't want a job or an honest whatever, is like they're just treated like shit. They have to do these weird, just like slow, boring walks. And then they're immediately put upon by a gang. And they almost get shot and killed. And that prospector does get shot. And so they have a shootout with basically who they were, these criminals. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, Butch is forced to take a life. And you just sit on his face. And Sundance says, well, we tried going straight. What are we trying next? And you realize there's just no escape. Like, regardless of who they, like, the world, they're bank robbers. They're Wild West bank robbers, and they'll be that till the end.
It's such a smart, nuanced way of depicting, in this film, in this reality, you are who you are. There's no changing your nature.
Mm-hmm.
They tried, like you said, we tried going straight. What's next? It is a masterclass in that nuance of we tried being the exact opposite of what we were, and we just can't hack it. Instead of letting them take the money, we drew guns.
Yeah. And so, they get back to it. And so they go for one last robbery. It isn't like their last score. They just do another score. And they walk into town, and unbeknownst to them, they are caught, noticed, and all the reinforcements are coming. All of their payoff of their life of crime. Guardsmen line up, take guns, It leads to the military is there now. And they're just having a little argument as they shoot out. And they go for a big plan of like how they're going to escape and everything. It's beautiful because we all know they're not going to escape. We all know this is the last stand. And the nuance that in their conversation, it almost feels like something in the back of their head tells them that they know this is their last stand.
Oh, 100%. That's exactly what I got from this. Because there's a moment where I think it was Sundance asks Butch, "Do you see the cavalry out there?"
Mm-hmm.
And he responds, "No, I think I missed it. Sun in my eyes or something. I must have missed it." And I think one of the last lines in the movie was, "Thank God, for a second I thought we didn't stand a chance."
Yeah. Because there's this guy who's been hunting them, I forget, but he wears a straw hat. And he's like, "Did you see him out there?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, okay.
We're fine then."
Yeah. But
no, 100% they know this is the end.
And they turn and they run out. And like while they're arguing, Sundance is taping up Butch's hand. And so he can hold a gun. And it's just like, it's like, despite him arguing and telling him to shut up, you can tell how close they are. And they turn the corner and we just freeze frame on gunshots. And like, we don't have to see more or less than that. But that moment is insanely powerful.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where it's the poster. It's the cover. Is that moment.
Is the final moment?
The literal freeze frame. It's them running out with the two guns.
That's the poster for the movie?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it doesn't matter that it's like, it's not a spoiler. It's not anything because it's these characters. It's how they'll end.
Dudes with guns.
And it's how they're going to end. And you know how it's going to end watching the movie. Because it can't end any other way for these characters.
Yeah, them getting away, happy ending. That would not sit right. And
so it's just such a real, tangible movie. Maybe I'm just going a little hard on it, how much I love it. But I think it was just watching Deadpool and Wolverine and then watching this. I was like, this is what I love about movies. And there's none of that present in Deadpool and Wolverine. So if you can, watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
It is streaming on Magic Roku boxes, but only through an app exclusive to the Roku box.
Called Cinema Box. It's also on the Internet Archive, so watch it there. Don't watch Deadpool Wolverine.
If you do, watch it on TikTok in 32 slices.
Look at Twitter to see screen grabs of all the cameos you missed.
Trying to think if there's anything of value.
What was your favorite joke in Deadpool versus Wolverine?
My favorite joke in Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm trying to think of a joke. I liked
Cut the feed.